It is time for Flip and Friends. It has been 3 weeks, I guess, since the last time we recorded a show.
Yeah, did you defrost finally?
Yeah. For some reason, for anybody, now definitely I'll introduce this in a second. If anybody that's watched the show, I've watched all of our shows in the past. Usually I don't have serious internet issues, but for some reason I was freezing. And not to say you won't catch a little freezing here, but we didn't want to put out something with the major freezing that was going out over the last couple of weeks. So right now it's fine, but we'll see. Of course, I'm Kenneth Davis, your host. Follow me at That's Davis. You know, the executive producer of the Flippin' Friends and also That Davis Show, the Ryan Bukovetsky. Follow him at Ryan B. Ski as he sips on creatine and Ryan B. Ski 1. And last but not least, from Second City Sports and also a contributor to We Are Regal Radio, Sid Kidd. Follow Sid at Sid Kidd 80. We always appreciate it. Something real quick. I was just perusing the Tribune, and I saw an article. I think it was a Cass article. And it really wasn't, it was talking about corruption in Chicago, but it was talking about Danny Salas. And I wanted to open up with a quick question for you guys. And this is a part of the article. It will begin with Viagra. It was given to Chicago aldermen who liked to visit a massage parlor at Milwaukee and Division. But he didn't know the FBI was watching, which we should all like to know if the FBI is watching. What kind of woman do they have there? Danny Salas asked, according to the federal documents at the beginning of the probe. Asian, said a political consultant. Salas replied, "Oh, good. I like Asians." All right, so the only thing I wanted to bring this up is this. Now, I don't know if this was the Robert Kraft massage parlor where you getting the whole shebango, I think. Was Kraft getting the whole shebango or just happy endings?
I think he didn't have the ED medication for that kind of stuff, so he needed the happy ending. Just a quick one, baby. I got to get out of here.
So, because the thing was, I just want to bring it up. Now, if you are getting a full body massage, now I don't know this man's erectile dysfunction. If he has one, he may just want to be full bore with his. But when I read this, and I'm thinking, someone's rubbing on your body sensually for 30 minutes to an hour, and you can't get it up just to get topped off. I find that terrible as a growing older. I do. I felt like just, and I'm like I would hate. Now I've never paid for any type of loving. All right, outside of paying for dating food, you know, I never was just exchange straight cash or Cash App. Of course, now it would be Cash App because I'm washed. But I've never exchanged straight cash. Not dissing people that have to do it, especially if everything's on the up and up and no sex trafficking or anything like that. People got to make their living. It's not my life. But I would hate to think that if I was just getting a happy ending, that I was like, man, I got to take this back. First of all, how much stress do you want to put that woman? She got to get more bodies out here. And you going to work long and hard for this head jammy. Like, I feel like it's unfair if you're getting
I think when you've crossed that bridge to getting the hammer done by your masseuse or whatever, I think you don't really care so much about being unselfish. I think it's all about selfishness at that point.
And I saw this comedian. That I follow on Instagram. His name is D-Lay. And he was talking about a period of where he used to set aside, and he wasn't bringing in that much money, set aside an allotment of money because the happy endings was just so awesome at this massage parlor that he had to continually go there. He had to budget it in. All right. Which, again, for me, I mean, I had a massage. I've
never had a massage.
Well, I mean, I've had a massage from being in a relationship with someone and them giving me a massage. But I'm talking about like a
professional. Yeah.
I went to get a facial 4 or 5 years ago one time, right? And the lady that gave me the facial, she like massaged my back and stuff like that. Yeah, she did good. Then I turned around and I was like, "You gonna finna?"
Did she flash her masseuse license? Like, did she pull out the badge? Otherwise, it's not official.
It's not official.
Did you give it a sex size, Ken?
No, I didn't give it a sex size.
Oh.
So, listen, the crazy part talking about this place. The crazy part was this, because they may have done it. They had masseuses working. This place is in Hyde Park. It was separated by like sheets or whatever. So it's just one lady that's in this room.
We're going into Arnie's now.
No, not like that. It was nice. It was nice, right? It's like above. I may just put it out there. It's above. Forget the name of it, but it's above. I don't know if it's still Boston's Market, but it's like right above there in Hyde Park on 53rd Street or whatever, right? I was going to
wow,
be
get a happy ending and a full chicken when you're done.
I was going to be on TV, and I wanted a facial. It may have been Sports Feed on New Year's Day or something like that. I think it was, right? It was something like that, I believe. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go get a facial, right? Forget it, right? I deserve to pamper myself, right?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out the 1 and 2. Like, Ken wouldn't go for a massage, but he'd go for a facial?
Well,
What
like
am I
I
missing?
said, no.
Now it makes sense.
I should when I get back into working out, not to say you have to be in shape to get a massage, but just I want to get the tension out of my body. But I see a lot of people saying that you should treat yourself and do that regularly, and I think you should. But still, to the point that I was going to make was I could never see myself being like. First of all, I would need a little bit more. Let's a happy ending thing doesn't seem like enough for me. And I'm not judging anybody, but I just be like, hey, can you jerk me? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be crass, right? Let me just be fully open. Sometimes when someone else is helping you along, your significant other is helping you along, you in a way, you're like, I know how to do this. That's kind of not what you're here for right now. You know what I'm saying? If you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying, right? Like it's like the old joke about like if you're sitting on your hand till it becomes numb and give yourself a stranger. It's like catching a stranger, right?
I forgot about that.
Right? It's like I'm sure it's the same with a young lady. Like if I'm sitting there and I'm helping her along, she knows definitely how to get herself off quicker than I do because she knows her body. But again, it's something about jerking off. I hate this again to be crass, that when I read this article and I'm like, he really wanted to be like, you gonna work for this. It just seems selfish with his corrupt ways, Danny Salas. And I rebuke you for you and putting that lady in her hands into more unnecessary crimes. Also this too, to think that an alderman was riding around Chicago. And I know we are a corrupt ass city and a corrupt ass state. All right. I just saw, I think we're number 1 in the country this week. It's us, LA, then New York.
Oh, did they update the corruption ratings?
As far as I think charges that have taken place, it's us, and then I think statewide we're either second or third statewide behind New York City, I believe. Right?
Wow, New Jersey's not even by us anymore?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you who else is around there. But the reason that I bring it up is this. To think that we're so corrupt that an alderman is running around in the 2010s, whatever year this was, still getting paid sex, all right, at a parlor, and it's not even like he getting this at his crib or something, and with no fear of reprisal, lets you know just how corruption is in the city in general. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's such a human thing, though, too. Like I get it more so in Chicago, and I think it makes sense because Chicago is kind of like a New York-ish type place in the middle of probably the nicest area in the country when you talk about the Midwest with all these nice folks and people that are all trusting and everything. Mm-hmm. And some of these, we see it all the time with politicians everywhere. And I'm not surprised in Chicago, especially. You get a little bit of power, it goes to your friggin' head, and then you start going crazy with it. I'm the alderman. Like that alderman with Wrigley that was...
Oh, yeah.
Didn't allow like the beer garden or something, like because it would hurt the businesses there. Like those kind of things. It's like, dude, who are you serving?
Right. Not the people that he's. Well, actually, I think a lot of that too with that alderman in Wrigley. I forget his name, but he was looking to serve his constituency and kind of looking at himself to be a lightning rod, not allow the Ricketts to just do whatever, and also before that, allowing the Cubs to have more night games because it could cause more congestion at night for the residents. That was part of his what he was trying to get after for re-election or whatever. But I'm still with you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, again, it just points out to just the city that we live in, and also this because I want to get into a story about Chicago and what's going on with the new speed limit. But I ran across the article too. I'm sorry, Ryan, I didn't add this to the rundown. Just as I perused the news this morning about the water shortage that's going to start taking place out in Joliet and these suburbs because they get their water out of wells from an aquifer, right? And it was saying that they were either going to have to get water from Hammond or us, basically still Lake Michigan water. But the reason they chose Chicago over Hammond is because they were worried about in the future it being a stickier situation going across state lines or whatever. And in 100 years, it's supposed to bring like $1 billion to Chicago. It's going to take them like till I think like a decade at least to be able to build it out, to be able to get this water or whatever. but it was saying that even if they start to get this water, their aquifer wouldn't be replenished for like another 100 years, a century, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like it would take 100 years to get that aquifer back to where they wouldn't need to get water from Lake Michigan or whatever. And the thing that I thought about, Ryan, was you down there in Arizona, because one thing that we talk about a lot is moving out of Chicago. I mean, away from Illinois, not just out of Chicago, and reading. And we've all grown up as kids. I used to be a part of like the Kids for Conservation or whatever, but we've grown up in a time where we were cognizant of we have to try to protect the planet. You know, like generations prior to us was like consume everything, burn it all. You know, and we grew up when it's like, no, you want to be green, you want to be sustainable and stuff like that. So, Ryan, have you heard anything about the water situation down there? And like, where do you actually see? I'm sure you get your water from underground.
The Colorado River, baby.
Oh, but see, hasn't that gone down now out of a lack of rainfall?
See, that's why I'm not sure in a way, because the Hoover Dam is the dam on the Colorado River, right?
I believe so, but I thought like, what's the lake out there? Lake
Mead, right?
Lake Mead has gone down significantly.
No, see, that's the opposite.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, so it went down a crap ton, Lake Mead, because I went on that lake, a few months ago or something when I was
full of Rona.
When I was visiting my friend out in Vegas, he took us out there, and basically the water was way down, and I was just like noticing, because it's like surrounded by like mountains.
So you see where the water used to be at.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's with this weird like coloration? Because you see like it looks like a straight like
a line across
everything, and it's like white down. And he was telling me like all the water level went down. That's what it used to be, and it was like, oh my god, so this thing is just losing so much water. And he's like, actually, over the last couple of years, it's gone up crazy amounts because the Rockies are getting so much snow, and then it's melting and coming down into the Colorado.
Okay, so even going back, so thank you for breaking that down, Ryan. So one problem with out in Joliet is some of the scale, I believe, is so thick, and it's in a fault zone that it won't, even with the more water that we've gotten in precipitation, it won't allow it to drain down into the aquifer. So it's just like, even the fact that global warming, because I think that's kind of what you just said, Ryan, as far as what's going on in the Rockies, even in the fact with climate change, I should say, I'm sorry, with climate change.
It's not hot, it's snowing. What are you talking about?
Just the snow that we just had here the last 3 weeks here in Chicago. But still, how it's set up, how the soil is built up, or whatever. You know, I'm not a geologist, but it's not getting down into the aquifer, so they're just fucked in Joliet, to say the least. All right, speaking about being fucked, I got this from the Tribune, right? Mo, who we jokingly call Mayor Lori Lightfoot. All right, Mo. She's proposing a new, not even proposing, going into effect, a new strict speed camera rules that starts Monday. And if the earlier warnings from this past month, they basically gave you a warning if you went 6 miles above. It's just 6 miles. It's 6 miles above, you get $35. Above 9 miles, I believe you get $100. All right. And the thing that jumps out to me, and what they're saying is that these tickets' total revenue can be $95 million for the city. And it jumped out to me because one of the things that Lightfoot ran on was getting rid of some of this oppressive practices that the city has done. A lot of these camera places are on the south side and probably the west side. I don't go on the west side as much as I used to 15 years ago. But you know, like if you, for instance, from working downtown, you don't have these cameras, and you know damn well they can make a killing downtown as many people go through lights and whatnot downtown. If they just want to put up red light cameras downtown, they would make a killing, but they don't want to mess with those people's money. But the people that don't have as much money, they put it on us. And initially, like when Rom did it, it was supposed to be for like the school districts and the park districts. That's where the cameras were supposed to be. So you wouldn't speed when the kids were in session. But now since we have the COVID situation, the kids are at home, they're going to take some of those cameras out. But they're only going to take like 20 of those cameras, and they're going to put out like 120 more cameras, these speed cameras, which they say is to slow people down because I think we've had 44 more injuries through 44 more accidents or whatever, the roads being open. But I just call bullshit. We know that there's been a big budget issue here in the city of Chicago. And again, I know she's a politician. The politicians are going to say whatever they have to do to get in office. But when she was supposed to be such a breath of fresh air, to know that if you, and I don't even know, they haven't even broke down where these cameras are going to be. So usually these cameras are set up to, like, for instance, me. There's a camera on it's a girl, listen, friend of the show, Heather. She posted this on Instagram like a week ago. She was like, if you really that bad and courageous and a gangster, show me how hard you are by driving through the speed and through the light on Stony Island right there on 79th Street, right? Because if anybody, we've all seen it, the cross sections right there at 79th Stony, where there's a speed light camera right there, right? And there's one by the Museum of Science and Industry right there, and on Haynes. And they usually just take place when you go through the light. You know what I'm saying? That's usually where you get hit. Now, my interest would be, are these cameras on regardless if it's a green light or not, and they're just taking your damn speed? Because to me, I feel like then you're overstepping your bounds. All right. If this is a nice open lane right there and I kick it up to 36 miles per hour, you need to just leave me the fuck alone. All right, especially if I'm not causing any hurt or anything to anybody else. If you're telling me now that in the city of Chicago, we have to drive at 30 miles per hour, or there's a severe risk of me always catching a $35 ticket or more, depending on how far I'm going to go out over the speed limit, I'm going to be highly upset. And I'm also going to vote our ass out.
Yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, how many new taxes, new laws, new cameras, and Chicago's been the running joke of corruption. We just talked about it like 10 minutes ago, how much corruption has come from Chicago. Like, it's just ridiculous. In a way, it kind of makes me feel a little bit better about moving away from Chicago. That's really the only place I'd want to live in Illinois. If I was a resident of Illinois, I'd want to be in Chicago. But man, these politicians there, they just pocket everything. The dailies are known for their corruption and their stealing and ruining the city in that way. I mean, you just gave those updated rankings, and it's like, what are you going to do with this extra money now? With this speed limit? What are you going to do with it? Same old, same old. It's going to be pocketed somewhere. You're going to have a bunch of people skimming off the top. And then, you know what? Let's actually cut it down from 6 down to 3 because we need some more money. You know what? Let's just make it that it's 35 if it's 35. Make it 25. You can't even go a mile over the speed limit. Like, next it's going to be you can't text and walk tax or something. Like, it's just ridiculous. And when you know that none of that stuff is actually helping the city, everybody's still leaving the city, no one's coming into Chicago, this money isn't even being put into the city in a proper way that it's really helping people. Like, at least if it was like, oh wow, look at how much the schools are benefiting from these speed light. Right. Okay, maybe that's a silver lining. You know, maybe we'll just deal with it and just not speed, and you know, you do it, whatever, but at least it's helping. You know, it's not helping. It's going to nothing.
It looks the same with the lotto was supposed to do that, and also marijuana now. Go ahead, Sid.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you guys. I know a hustle when I see one. And you're going back to the history of those red light cameras. Ken, I think you kind of alluded to it early. It was supposed to prevent accidents. I'm using air quotes. It doesn't prevent accidents. It causes more accidents. It causes more accidents. Thank you. Especially with the weather we just had, like you mentioned 3 weeks ago. Thank goodness, in the way I live in the suburbs, because you know you still have to drive carefully, but you know you can, for lack of a better term, get away with a little bit more in the suburbs. I'm not saying break the law.
For a second, I thought you said thank goodness in a white, and then you changed.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that.
In a white.
No.
Goodness gracious, is that the hack? Okay.
But if whenever I go driving into the city, which is rare, but when I do, you have to. For me, I have to drive with caution because, you know, like Ryan said, now, you know, if it's like 35, you get caught, you're going to get a $35 ticket. And also with those yellow lights, they're quicker in the city than they are in the suburbs. That also made that one point out.
Because you will be in the suburbs and you will stop and you'll be like, it's still on yellow.
Exactly.
Damn it.
In the city, it's just like that, the snap of my finger when it's a yellow light, red light, just like that.
By the way, I'll give Illinois some credit. they figured out the traffic light system because it is horrendous out here.
Oh yeah,
horrendous.
Oh,
I want to know the asshole that invented or set up these grids traffic light system in Arizona. I would just kick him straight in the dick for being a fucking idiot.
Dude, it's got
What
me.
a moron.
It's actually improved here. Like I noticed some days where, like, and it's been like the last 7 or 8 months, where all the lights now are like synced up on Stony to where it's like, damn, I'm just driving up this bad boy, like I'm not stopping or whatever. You're like, who? Bravo, whoever did this, right? Like it should make sense.
Yeah.
All right, you stop going this way. Everyone north and south go. You stop the east and west go. Like open it up so that everyone can go. Go ahead. All right.
Like that is totally correct. I remember just never having that issue in Chicago. In Chicago, Illinois, they do a good job with that. I can't tell you how many times that I've lived here in just a short amount of time where I'm waiting at a red light because the opposite side has no cars going and it's just a green light and it gets the full green light as if cars are going. I am just cursing at the sky at this point.
Hey, y'all got those
so many times.
Do you have those like dangly lights where they're not really fixed on something?
No, they are. They're fixed.
Okay. Because that's even more. It's like what y'all doing out here, right? Like lights swinging in the wind.
Maybe let's put some steel around these lights.
Right. What's going on? All right. Switching off into something else. Arsenio Hall appeared on the Lake Show. Arsenio Hall, and I actually saw a clip with Arsenio Hall was on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and I saw a clip with Eddie Murphy was on Jimmy Fallon, the Jimmy Fallon Show, right? And of course, because next week on Friday on Amazon, you can watch Coming to America 2 is going to be dropping or whatever, right? And
it is not dropped? I thought it dropped already.
Nah, I have two round because I know the preview, which I haven't watched. I've been wanting to watch it with my family. I haven't watched. The preview has been out for like 2 or 3 weeks now at least.
Because when I go to Amazon, it'll say Coming to America 2. And I guess that must be
you gotta hype it up. You gotta hype it up, man. That was huge in the community, man. Like I said, I went to see that movie. It
was actually huge in the Bukovetsky house too.
Oh, all right.
My mom, not much of a movie person, loves Coming to America.
But that's why it was a crossover phenomenon, basically, right? So well that white people didn't like Harlem Nights, which is terrible on you. But the thing,
they didn't like Della Reese.
Put that on me. I'll take it for the community.
Yeah, you take that. I remember. I think it was me, my brother, and some friends may have went. And this is the only movie my grandma went into the movie. That also lets you know how important. Like she was taking us, but she was like, "I'm gonna go see this too." This is the only time my grandmother actually went in the movie with us. Right? She didn't sit with us though. She sat some rows back or whatever. But he was on there on late night with Jimmy Fallon. Asked him about the famous people he knows, and he said that the Dave Chappelle situation with Michael Jackson actually happened. That Charlie Murphy said that, you know what I'm saying, that it was shirts and blouses. He confirmed that was a true story or whatever. But anyways, so he said blouses. He was like, Charlie Murphy was like, yeah, it's gonna be the shirt versus the blouse. Like he did it like Charlie Murphy. It was like it made you think.
I got this cat eyeing me up and down. Like, what are you looking at me like that for? You know where you got that from? And it certainly wasn't the men's department.
I'm happy that Netflix did right by Dave Chappelle and also Comedy Central because, ironically, for the last 3 months, I've had a hankering to want to watch old Chappelle shows. And now it's like, okay, it's cool if I end up getting back to it or whatever. All right.
Oh, my gosh. Really quick on that. I've been wanting to watch it, too. And then D, I think, like, next day sent that, like, video of him, like, doing the stand-up but talking about the truth, about how we should all boycott it. So I was like, great. Right. The first day I start watching, I got a boycott. Did you
see on the thread 2 weeks ago when Melvin posted that new Chappelle stand-up?
No, I did not.
All right, so watch that one. And during that, he talks about how the fans are everything, and because they stopped watching the Chappelle show when he had brought it up, it became worthless. And Viacom gave him his rights back and also gave him some money. So and Netflix debuted it back on Netflix because Netflix had taken it off because he asked them to. Mm-hmm. But he was like, he gets money from. So you're clear now. Is basically what I'm saying. Get your Chappelle show on.
Nice.
They did right. That. But the great thing about it, he was like, I really fuck with y'all because all we have is each other, and this is what you all did for me by just doing that for me or whatever. It was pretty tight or whatever. So he was on Arsenio Hall was on the Colbert Show, and he was talking about the Arsenio Hall Show, which ran from 89 to 94. And despite airing at the same time as Johnny Carson's Tonight Show, Hall actually credits the legendary late night host with helping him succeed. Sometimes Johnny would come across somebody he thought was really great, but he didn't discover talent, said Hall. What he means by discover talent, Johnny didn't necessarily usually put on people that weren't established acts for the most part. Me, being the young guy, I would put on a new Mariah Carey or Will Smith, and they would give me names. Like they gave me Usher Raymond once because I guess Ed McMahon, who used to be the side man for Johnny Carson, who also used to do Public Clear Shots, you didn't know was the host of Star Search. Usher was on Star Search, so that's how Usher ended up on the Arsenio Hall Show because Ed McMahon had hooked it up. Carson was apparently a big fan of Hall, even though their shows at the same time. They catered to two different audiences that led for more support and less competition. I really like this because I don't know why, and it's gonna sound like, what the hell are you talking about? Johnny Carson always had a warm spot in my heart as a kid growing up. I enjoyed watching the show, even though it was not catered towards me. One, just being a young person outside of being a young African American, but I enjoyed the show a majority of the time. I actually remember as a kid turning off the Johnny Carson's of the Tonight Show when what's his name? What's his name that took over after
Jay Leno.
Jay Leno.
Jay Leno used to sit in for Johnny Carson. I'd be like, it's Leno on tonight. Turn his mess off, right? And then, of course, and I know, Sydney, you can speak to this, how seminal the Arsenio Hall Show was for us. Like, it was, dude, I remember, listen, I don't know how old I am. I remember, I believe not Johnny Carson, Arsenio Hall set in for Joan Rivers when she got fired by Fox or whatever, because she used to have that late night show or whatever. And
then he took it over for the last few weeks, and then that's how he got his contract. And that Arsenio Hall Show used to mean so much. So I hate the fact that when he came back out like 5 years ago, it didn't stick. But I blame myself because I would record them. I wouldn't watch them. I had like 30 of them damn things on my DVR, right? I didn't even fully watch the episode with him and Prince, which that was one I was looking so forward to. But it was just good to see that Johnny Carson, who as a kid you thought seemed like he was a good person, was actually the person that you thought he was. Yeah, it's cool to hear stories like that, passing information and helping your fellow man down from one older generation to the younger generation. Now, I remember the Arsenio Hall Show being as important because, as you mentioned, Ken, Arsenio was the first Black person to man or woman to get their own late night talk show. Not to bring it to sports, but I remember when he had Magic Johnson on. He went on Arsenio Hall Show after he announced to the world he had HIV. That was a great show. You can catch some of this stuff on YouTube, by the way, especially some of our younger viewers. But he had sports stars on. He had music stars on, both black and white. He had Red Hot Chili Peppers on. He had TLC. He had Troop. So he had a diverse group of guests and musical acts. And also, I'm sure you remember this, Ken. Remember, he had a band that played his intro music. They were a great band, and also behind them he had an audience. Like tonight, he had a special thing. Like tonight, the audience was here's the group of fans who like big women with big booties. He brought that to late night television. It was just so creative, and it was just so sad that it went off the air the way that it did. I did read up some stuff about that a few weeks ago, watching some videos on YouTube here and there. Of course, according to him, or talking about Arsenio, he said that when his show went off the air, he already decided months before that he wasn't no longer going to do it. But of course, if you guys don't know, the story was that after he brought on the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, it was a wrap.
Well, I think it was a wrap when he brought Farrakhan on because he knew what was happening. Like, well, if I'm going out, I'm bringing Farrakhan on, right?
Yeah.
That's what I remember thinking as a kid. It was like, yeah, I'm going out. I may as well do it or whatever. I also think about Ed McMahon calling Arsenio about Usher. Like, hey, Arsenio, yes, Ed, I got this black kid.
Yes, hello, Ed.
He can dance his ass off, right? Johnny wants nothing to do with his ass over here. Put his ass your way.
He can sing, he can dance. He'd be perfect for your show. Not good for us. We need established good acts. You can have this.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, definitely shout out to Johnny Carson, and hopefully too that after coming to America, hopefully too does well. They can find Arsenio Hall can find some new platform to kind of do the Arsenio Hall show. I don't know if the late night is necessarily a thing because we don't consume our stuff the same way. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't watch any late night show, period, let alone consistently. And the guy that I loved, I stopped watching him years ago in Conan. Like, I didn't even support Conan. And I love Conan O'Brien, right?
Yeah, I gave up late night when he was on the Tonight Show, basically.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. It was a wrap. And you waited for that until that damn Jay Leno.
I know. I would always wait for that late night show. What was it? Was it the late night?
Yeah, he was the late night show. And
he was on after Jay Leno.
Then it was the late night.
But
they had like
was that what was it called? Was it the late night show?
I believe it was the late night show. Mm-hmm. Let me just check real quick, because if we can look at because Johnny Carson is the Tonight Show. So it was the late night show. Because
he freaking killed in that slot. Like, that was a legendary time for Conan.
Come on, dog. It's the year. Dude, that show used to just be so good as a show. So it used to be so, like, that hit the spot for being a young.
That was so good.
Yeah, that
Max Weinstein and his just.
Come on, dude. It was just, listen, and even after Andy had left, it was still, like, it was that show used to be top notch. But switching over to a little bit of sports, this for me is being LeBron James on Friday dismissed Zlatan. I'm not going to give his last name because I'm not going to butcher it.
Zlatan.
Do you know his last? Can you pronounce his last name correctly, Ryan?
It's like Ibrahimović, but I don't know if that's correct. I know Zlatan is right.
Zlatan. His criticism of his social media activism said the AC Milan star's comments were hypercritical. Zlatan said, "Do what you're good at. Do the category that you do. I play football because I'm the best at playing football. I'm no politician. If I had been a politician, I would be doing politics. This is my first. This is the first mistake famous people do when they become famous and come into a certain status. For me, it's better to avoid certain topics and do what you do best, what you're best at doing, because otherwise it doesn't look good." James pointed out, as far as Zlatan, that he was the same guy who said that when he was back in Sweden, because his last name wasn't a certain name, that he felt there was some racism going on, and when he was out on the pitch. I speak from this is LeBron James. I speak from a very educated mind, so I'm kind of the wrong guy to actually go at, because I do my homework. Several years ago of the incident, Zlatan said he was subjected to undercover racism in his native Sweden because of his Bosnian roots, gave him a surname that doesn't sound traditionally Swedish. "I'm not an Anderson or a Seven," Zlatan said on a Canal Plus in 2018, referring to what he considered racist treatment from the media. "If I would be, trust me, they would defend me, and if I robbed a bank, they would defend me." James went on to say, "I would never shut up about these things, and I'm not wrong." Blah, blah, skippy, woo, woo, woo. I don't need to go into either more of that. I find it just Zlatan. First of all, Zlatan to be, and we remember when he was out there with LA football team.
The Galaxy, I believe.
He was with the Galaxy. I thought he was with the football team.
Yeah, I thought it was the Galaxy.
No. Okay, you could be right. Let me just see real quick. Because
Zlatan, you want Zlatan, you got Zlatan.
You're right. He was with the Galaxy. He wasn't with the football team. I think when they had one of those cross rival matches, that the football team was starting to kick the Galaxy's ass though around that time. But anyway, that's not the point. Listen, was a magnet. People enjoyed his antics and stuff like that. But for him, to know racism in his own country because of his Bosnian roots, and it's funny, I had read something about Zlatan saying this 2 weeks ago, not the LeBron part, but about his Bosnian roots and being discriminated against. For him not to be able to correlate that with what's going on here in America and telling the athlete he should shut up and just play is stupid, ignorant, and just some bullshit. Like, and also it's the height of your own privilege, because a certain degree you can understand what's going on here with African Americans, but then due to your race, it still allows you to be oblivious and be like, yeah, it's not that important. And for anybody to say someone of status that can shine a light on something shouldn't shine a light on something is fucking ignorant, especially when, unfortunately, Black people have had to over depend on celebrities and athletes because we don't have a new bounty of leaders to step up into the void that was left after leaders in the past been assassinated or leaders not taking the final step to get Black people to where they necessarily need to be. So when just to see Zlatan says this shit, I just want to say to Zlatan, shut your bitch ass up.
Yeah, I kind of just included it because it's just silly when you hear these kind of things. Like, what was her name that went after LeBron, the shut up and dribble on Fox News?
Laura Ingle.
Okay, Laura, like, who are you to be the expert on politics? Like, what gives you this expert opinion versus LeBron? Because you're on Fox News as a host? Okay, who cares? You need a person that can talk and that can handle the camera and has charisma or has enough entertaining value that people keep coming back to the TV. That doesn't mean you're good at knowing politics or understanding politics or even advising people how they should see politics. For LeBron, I think he is really good as an activist, and to just think that athletes can't be activists is silly because we know there's always going to be outliers for everything. There's always going to be people that with their platform, like a LeBron James, that they're going to be able to help out other people and actually be a positive influence rather than just looked at as, oh, you're overstepping because you're an athlete. You should stick in your lane. Like LeBron, he's in the muck. Like he's not this guy that's just like living in an ivory tower like Laura Ingle or some of these other people that are going after him and saying stick to your lane like you don't get it. I think LeBron gets it a lot more than a lot of celebrities.
Laura Ingle, too, she should know more about politics if that's what she's versed in as far as her job. I'm with everything that you were saying. And also, I go back to when LeBron, I can't remember, and I'm sorry to say this, there's been so many tragic Black murders that have taken place. I'm mixing up in my head right now which one LeBron first got asked to get involved with. I forget the basketball player who was on his team. I can't remember if it was, I don't think it was Brian Grant. I forget who the basketball player was on LeBron's team with the Cavs at the time. But he asked LeBron to say something about something, and LeBron was like, I don't know enough about it to say something. That was the last time LeBron did something like that. After which he was always out front because, as he said, he educates himself on these types of issues. You know what I'm saying? So it's, again, to what you're saying, Ryan, he's not an idiot who's just jumping out. And one thing I should have read in the article, he points out that there are 300 kids at his academy that he is their voice. And we can be like, yeah, right. No, that's his academy. He is their voice. And it's one thing to be like, think about this, like I'm a kid and I go to LeBron James Academy and it helps my parents or parent learn economics because they do a lot of stuff with parents at LeBron's Academy too. And it's helped to at least begin to raise my family out of poverty. And the guy that started all this, he can't talk about politics because he dribbles a basketball, right? Like, so, and what does that teach me, right? Like, what am I? Oh, well, once you do that, you ain't got no right to speak about nothing. Like, no, LeBron is one of the biggest athletes in the world today, and moving forward,
and of all time.
Yes, and of all, he's the biggest athlete probably out of perhaps a soccer player I'm not thinking of, but of the internet of the social media age. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to go. Who's bigger in the social media age than LeBron James? Basically, since he came through it when it was in its infancy. You know what I'm saying? So so the biggest athlete. Listen, if Michael Jordan didn't want to talk about something back in the days, and we don't agree with that, that's his person. That's on him. You know what I'm saying? But going from, and one reason that I love Muhammad Ali, Bill Russell, Jim Brown, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, it's because, one, they weren't even making nowhere near this type of money, weren't getting any type of nowhere near this endorsements and shoe deals, and they were risking their livelihood for their people.
And
right?
also, too, all of them lived in the same area due to the Jim Crow laws, too, so they were all affected in the same way.
On top of that, Sydney, we're risking their fucking lives. Yeah. All right. Someone could have just came and popped their ass and went on about their motherfucking day because they didn't like the fact that this Negro was talking more than just dribbling, throwing, or carrying a football. You know what I'm saying? So when you're sitting so when I see that, I mean, that's one of those things that we love about LeBron. And again, fuck whoever has something to say about it. That's my last point. Sydney, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Just quickly, I'm not saying that LeBron James doesn't care about the community or the youth, because I know that he does. But let's be honest here. Part of it is ego too, only because you brought up Michael Jordan back in the day. You know as well as I do, Ken, that if athletes really spoke out like that, we had Craig Hodges on this show many a times, and he could attest to what Michael did behind the scenes. But if athletes really stepped out on subjects that people didn't want them to talk about, they were blackballed. And so LeBron James studied that, and he knows that now. Yeah, people in statues like that, in terms of LeBron James and his parameter, you're still going to get some criticism, but for the most part, he's liked. LeBron James is aware of that, and let's be honest, he likes it that he doesn't get knocked down as much as Michael Jordan did back in the day. I just want people to realize that we're living in a different time. So LeBron James, he wants to be known not just the greatest athletes of all time, he wants to be the greatest athlete philanthropist of all time as well. Not saying he doesn't care. He does, but it's also about ego and his perception that he wants to present to the public as well.
Maybe. I think ego can be involved in anything, so I don't want to discount what you're saying. But I do think it's a lot more genuineness with LeBron. Also, I think reading the room that he has more leeway than at the time Mike had. But you got in some ways that's a catch-22, because Mike comes basically 20 years after Muhammad Ali and those guys. So he's just same way people will say, well, LeBron can do that now because of what Jordan did. Well, there are guys who stuck their neck out 20 years before Jordan could have stuck his neck out. So I don't want to just look at it through that lens of what Jordan did do this. Does LeBron know that it helps me to be this person? In some people's eyes, yeah, but there are a lot of people's eyes who disagree with LeBron. One thing I love about LeBron is he, to me, is like, I'm rich, you motherfuckers can't tell me nothing. I like that, especially when that correlates with him helping his people. Like, listen, you gonna either buy my stuff, but the type of money I'm making, it's not like I'm at 20 mil and I'm worried about getting my next 20. You know, I'm at 550, right? You know what I'm saying? And the next 300 is lit up. So imagine I'm at $1 billion in about 10 years. Like, what you gonna tell me, basically? And I love to see that type of action taken by a black person, male or female.
Yeah, he's giving you the playbook. You know, make more than enough money to feed your kids, kids. That stuff like this doesn't affect you.
Yeah, totally.
Where's the Zlatan jersey, Sydney?
Not over here.
Right, because that bad boy be going in the fire grill. Like, you're ready. I got the fluid for it. All right. Sticking with black, Ta-Nehisi Coates has been hired to pen a screenplay for the all-new Superman feature produced by J.J. Abrams that may introduce a first big-screen black Superman. Coates' screenplay, and this is from Yahoo Entertainment, will be centered around a black Superman, an idea previously explored by Black Panther star Michael B. Jordan in 2019. In 2009, writer Grant Morrison introduced Calvin Ellis, a.k.a. Kal-El, in the pages of The Final Crisis. Modeled after Barack Obama, Calvin became the U.S. president on Earth 23 and continued to protect and serve the public as Superman as well. DC Comics have revealed that the popular character will be part of an Infinite Frontier event, which launches in March. So, for everybody that's been, I guess, whoever's been out there ickling for a black Superman, even though we used to have a black Superman, it used to be like a little toy. It was like a sunman, right? Which was always like kind of funny because it was like, well, Superman gets his power from the sun, because Superman, of course, and the scientists have said this, if he got his power from the sun, he would have to have some melanin in it, probably, or whatever. But to the point, I want to know your thoughts on a black Superman. Since we go with controversy over him saying LeBron is all about ego, let's go to Sidney Brown.
Well, you want more controversy?
Yeah, Sidney, go ahead, light it up.
But it sounds like to me, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. One, Hollywood is waking up into their wokeness. Number two, the people that complained about the Oscars being so white, guess what happened? The Oscars were black for the entire year. I'm not saying it shouldn't be a black Superman. I'm all for it, but it seems like to me a few people that are complaining just for no reason. It's like Hollywood is buckling down to please a small percentage of people. It's just like I'm not saying that it wasn't going to be a black Superman. Yes, it's entertainment at the end of the day, but it seems like to me a small group of people that they're complaining for no reason. It seems like they get their way. Like I said, maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but that's just the way I see it.
I think I'll say this before Ryan jumps in. I think they've seen the amount of money you can get with having these black characters front and center, looking at the Black Panther itself and how they've neglected getting to these dollars. I think that, and when you look at the thing too, Superman is so bland. I love Superman, period. All right. My favorite DC character is Superman. But who would you think I was going to say? Somebody without powers?
He's easily one of the worst characters of anything, period.
No, they don't use him right. You know, like the problem is with Superman. Superman hangs out with Superman. No, he hangs out with people that don't have enough power. So he has to. So he looks like he's omnipotent, right? It's like, man, you can't beat him because he run around with Batman, just some rich boy in some tights. You can't really, like you need Superman to be out there with like Galacticus all day long. You know what I'm saying? Like that's who Superman can't be down here fighting Lex Luger. Of course you're gonna think it's corny when you're not putting him in the world with real threats. But he is the dopest of all dopes.
No.
So who's your favorite DC character, Ryan?
I would take basically any of them over him.
Even Aquaman?
I think maybe Superman above Aquaman.
Okay.
I got a huge problem with Superman. I don't like characters that have no flaws. And Kryptonite, get that fucking shit out of here. This dumbass fucking unbelievably hard material to find. And anytime he gets like shot with Kryptonite or whatever, he's always fine anyway. So Kryptonite's more like just a bad bender trip for Superman, if anything. It has nothing to do with him actually having a weakness. And then on top of it too, like you said, if Superman was in the environment that you're talking about, I would probably love the shit out of Superman. But that is not the environment that he is a part of. He is a part of the human environment at all times, dealing with dumbass humans unless some other alien comes down, and it's always the same. What was the Superman where they get trapped in like the glass and start flying off into space?
Yeah, the quantum I forgot what it is. Yeah,
it's like 2 or 3, and then when they made Man of Steel, they're like, who do we have as a villain? Well, let's just get some more aliens from his home planet. We'll have more Supermans, and he'll fight those Supermans. Like, come on. It's just so lame. Like, I don't know. I need something.
Listen, a man that can never fully love down a woman because he's so super strong deserve your respect.
That's another thing. I don't know how I feel about the virgin superhero that has no weakness.
He's not a virgin. You see that show? They got the Superman and Lois coming out. They got kids. I think in comic books they've had some iterations of them having kids. But I mean,
well, then your previous point is flawed. He can be with a woman.
Listen, but think about just the weakness of his strokes out of fear of harming her, right? Like you can't
That's just adding to my reason why I don't
Batman just out here.
Right. That's my dog right there. Get it, boy.
Batman is like the head lead character in what is that? 50. What's the thing? The 50 Shades of Grey? That's Batman, right? Stringing chicks up and stuff with his freaking ass and stuff. Right? Just
hey, I relate with that guy a lot more than that.
I'm regular. I can do all this filth. I'll say this. It's straight that they're doing a black Superman, but this is a double-edged sword. Like for me, when people are like, man, you need like a black 007. I'm like, why don't you make a new character? Even though people will be like, yeah, but that's the character. All right. But just like Nick Fury, and I initially was like, a black Nick Fury, why? Just make a character that's a black guy, right? Like sometimes I view it as being lazy, but I understand that my biasness can be incorrect in that. Because even if you create a new character, that character isn't necessarily, especially in the first 10 years at least, and I would say 20 to 30, isn't going to mean as much as Superman and what Superman stands for. And for some kid out there, now I'm a grown adult, so a black Superman isn't going to change nothing with me, right? But for some kid to actually see that a black person, one, can be that character, but also there can be a black Superman, that can mean a lot to some young people seeing something like that. So even though for me sometimes, and I'm not even really saying this as much as Superman, but sometimes when they just black stroke a character and make them black, I feel like why not create new characters or whatever? And I'm sure some people should back those characters are established, and even if we create new characters, maybe people won't fall in line with it. But still, I think there's definitely some pros to. There's more pros than cons, I would say, and also from it being like Earth 23, this is like DC and Marvel doing multiverse, all the stuff. So you're still gonna have your white Superman. He'll be back. All right, like
let's hope not. Let's hope
this won't be the end. I mean, but you said now, but this
the worst thing than having one Superman is having two. So hopefully we just stick with the one.
But see, this also show you how when Earth is in a bad place, how they always throw it to black people. They be like, man, you know what? We gonna suck for the next 4 years. Give it to a blackie, right? This dude got to be president and save the planet. Like
I do like that little story though. That's cool.
And then on top of that, like, what's Putin gonna say? Like calling up, talking trash to me, right? Or Saudi Arabia. I'm like, I beam your ass from where I sit. All right, like from right here.
Was his first rule to evacuate the troops from the Middle East so he could just take care of it himself?
Right, but also your president has all this blood literally on his hands.
Yeah, as he walks into the office.
Right, and dripping in blood. Oh, man, Putin was wilding out there, man. I got to clean up.
So we still got that 3:30 meeting with Sweden? Or
what? Okay. Later on the show, we were talking about driving in traffic. We're going to get back and close out with some traffic offenses. This is from Complex. A woman was arrested after allegedly crashing her car and calmly fleeing the scene in an Uber in Miami Beach. The incident, which went down on Tuesday at Fernandez Food Market and saw the woman later identified as Sharon Martinez Lazaro of Los Angeles, ultimately fleeing the scene as a passenger in a Chrysler. The footage from the aftermath showed the witness, including a videographer, who was repeatedly calling out Martinez Lazaro about the potential detrimental impact of her actions. Brian Frall, a witness who shot some of the footage, said she was more concerned about her designer bag and her stupid backpack she was pulling on. Martinez Larrazo, 27, was ultimately arrested, I should say, after authorities tracked down the getaway car on I-395. She has been charged with leaving the scene of an accident and with property damage. Per a report from TMZ, who also shared the footage of the crash aftermath, the getaway car was an Uber. The alleged driver, identified as Bobby Stone, was also arrested and now faces an accessory after the fact charge. Yes, an accessory after the fact charge. The alleged driver is said to have confessed to being aware of the initial crash, though he still helped Martinez Larrazo leave this. Exactly. I was waiting for you to do that one, right? Like, he needed that money that bad. Like, what? You crashed? Get your ass in.
Wait, why? How? So he says he knew? He confessed?
I mean, he probably picked her up right there.
Right. Can you just play like, oh, that looks like an accident there?
But she told him. She was in there like, I crashed.
Yeah, did they got the recording? I didn't hear her say anything. She never said anything.
I'm with you, right?
Prove it. Prove she said something to me.
The vehicle used in the crash was a 4-door Dodge Charger with Florida tags. Prior to the crashing into the market, the car was driving on the sidewalk. The damage at the shop is estimated as $5,000.
She was just gonna leave that bad boy.
Oh, she was. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Listen, but with her tag, like she was gonna get away with it though. If she owns that car, rented that car, borrowed it from somebody, it was gonna get right back to her. And Shuddy was like, I mean, I think the thing that sticks out to me is the attitude that so many people have today. Like, we live. It's so prevalent today. And like, you ran over that lady, and it's just like our natural reaction is to disassociate. Right? Like, I don't care. It's like, no, we care, motherfucker. Right? Like, no,
this is literally disassociate. Like, this is crazy. Like, let me get out of my car, grab my bags. I got my phone here. 5 minutes away. Maybe I'll start walking down the road here. Make it a little bit easier for him to pick me up.
Had the nerve to hop in the Uber. Shawty's literally fled. She was not playing. She's like, I got shit to do. Right? Shawty was like, I'm not making out no report.
I was going to go to the clubs. Come on.
I know somebody who would have given her a ride. Sidney Brown, where you gotta go?
Oh no. Not I know.
Listen, no. I don't know.
After he heard the last name, I think he considered it.
I don't know where you're supposed to go, but I know where you're going. All right. Sidney Brown house.
That would be great. You see Sid pull up. He's not even in an Uber. Just, I'll help you, man.
No. Pull up. Sis sees that she got into an accident, pulls up like an accessory. He throws the door open. Get in! Come on! Like I saw this. This was great. It seemed like it was in Philadelphia or something. I saw this like a month ago on Instagram. It was this kid hauling ass. He's like a block and a half down the street. The people are on the corner filming. He's a block and a half down the street. Hauling ass is a cop behind him, right? Cops chasing and chasing. All of a sudden you hear a dirt bike. The dirt bike comes flying up the street. The kid has about a car's length, maybe a car's length and a half ahead of the cop. The kid on the motorcycle is like, jump on. Stops. The kid jumps on the back of the motorcycle and they take off. And the cop just, and I was like, especially being somebody that grew up in the city, like, that was wonderful. And you should look out for your fellow man, as long as he didn't murder anybody. I just felt like that. So again, with this, even though this was different, it wasn't. All right. Last one. This one we're going to all enjoy. It's from Yahoo News. 2 commercial fishermen from the mainland were jailed Thursday after police said they were caught in the Keys. My dad grew up part of his life in Florida Keys with the haul of illegal seafood that started at 100 undersized rung lobster. 100 undersized lobster tails, right? I'm going to say it right now. I know all this shit was headed to Red Lobster. Their catch also included the home of undersized lobster tails. Red Lobster should be ashamed of his damn self.
A specific one run by a very shady manager. You got any lobster?
The smaller the better. Their catch also included 17 undersized stone crab claws, 4 undersized whole lobsters, and 1 undersized mutton snapper, according to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Osvaldo Hernandez, 65, listed as a seafood business owner in Fort Lauderdale, and Vladimir Medina Martin, 43 in Miami, were each arrested on felony charges of taking 100 or more undersized lobsters. Anything over 100 is a felony, said FWC officer Bobby Dube. It's a great bust. It's been a while since we've seen these numbers like that. Hernandez and Medina Martin were taken into county jail on Friday. Hernandez remains in jail on a $30,000 bond, while Medina Martin was locked up for $75,000 bond, according to the jail records. Right. You know what I'm saying? The deputy could smell the fish as he approached the van, which Hernandez was driving, and called for backup. The officer said Hernandez told the deputy he could look inside of the van. Why in the world would you let them look inside of the van? The officers arrived and noticed the lobster claws in the van seemed to be rather small. For anybody that doesn't know this, if you really haven't committed some terrible crime, you don't have to let them search shit. All right? The officer, I've done it. All right? I've been pulled over for speeding going to college. The officer said, can I search your vehicle? I told him, no. All right? No, you do not have to. Listen, it's a ticket. That does not mean that you are this man's bitch. Take your ticket and go on about your life. You do not, because you got a speeding ticket, have to open your world to this motherfucker. This dude should have never. He'd be like, man, it smells fishy now. I'd be like, it sure does, right?
Welcome to Florida Keys, baby.
It's fishy all around this bitch. He should have told fucking Martin, throw the sheet over the baby crab and lobster legs. Throw the shit up. And the
problem was Martin was playing with them in the back, and it really
And it's funny. So Afton, both grew up in Catholic school, but Afton is Catholic, and she observes Lent, right? Which, for as long as I've known, has been like, good for you, kiddo. So on Fridays, she only eats fish. On Friday, she doesn't eat red meat, basically, on Fridays or whatever during Lent.
I did a fish fry yesterday myself.
Look at you. And we're sitting there and talking about something to get to eat, and I was making a joke because, we've always talked about, we've never ordered Red Lobster delivered to the crib. I'm not the biggest Red Lobster fan. Let me lead with that, because it's like, come on now, this isn't seafood, right? But the thing is, when I made a joke, I'm like, man, these whole baby lobster tips, like Red Lobster is so disrespectful with the size of their lobster tips, dude. It's like these. I know that those lobsters are the same size of the lobsters that Red Lobsters are. And the worst part is Red Lobsters don't even. Exactly, you got him. Where did you think they were going? But it's like they don't. Which is good and bad. They don't even lie to you about it. Like when you look at the ads, they like tiny lobster tails. It's like, dude, who the hell wants this or whatever? But I just found it funny that one, these guys stole that much. And listen, they have to know. I watch like Texas Game Warden TV show from time to time or whatever.
Of course you do.
You know I do. Does it sound hillbilly redneck? Them kids, right?
Yeah, especially in the state of Texas.
Especially in Texas. Listen, I'm gonna tell you real quick a story about the Texas Game Warden TV show, right? So I've been watching the show, right? I'm watching it. This one time I'm going like on the binge watching it and shit, right? And I'm like, man, you know what I like about this show, man? It's not like Cops where they always have some black person or some trumped up charges and shit. Like, you know, majority of the time they pulling somebody over, you know, it's a white person or whatever, you know, not hating, but maybe it's a Latino or whatever, it's Texas. But you know, they don't be having us out here all crazy. As soon as I said that shit, they're like, yeah, we got a 211-12, right? And this is old ass officer running. He got a AR-15 with him, right? Yeah, they said there was bank robbery or something. I'm like, oh shit. They got him back here behind his house, right? They on foot. All right, they got like the game wardens, the FBI, the cops. They all in this neighborhood, right? I'm like, shit. They're like, all right, we see him. We take off running. He black. I said, these motherfuckers just couldn't let me rock, could they? Right?
We found the one black person in Texas.
Right. The real crime, though, like usually, again, the criminals are, and I'm not saying this isn't a serious offense, like they're hunting when it's dark, you know what I'm saying, using a light, which is illegal, you know what I'm saying? They're just shooting you after, you can't shoot after a certain time, they're hunting out of season, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that is usually, or they're capturing a live aquatic wildlife that's smaller than what they're supposed to keep. You know what I'm saying? Like these are usually what takes place in this, or they catch somebody that's doing that and they got weed on them. You know what I'm saying? But this one was like a robbery, like a bank robbery, right? So it was like, oh, why you didn't even have to show up for this? You're a game warden or whatever. I'm joking. But still, it was just one of those things that when I had found the space, every time I watch one of these hillbilly shows and I found a space, they like to remind me that I'm black in America. And it's like, dude, I'm just trying to escape right now. But then it's like, shh, up to your fucking face.
Yeah, I think your escape route is a little flawed here. I think you're getting what you're supposed to.
Keep running back to the wrong way, huh? Hey, how's it, sir? I just was coming by to see what y'all was doing over here.
I don't think the hillbillies are living with much racial tolerance down there.
Hey, Randy Moss would disagree with you with the West Virginians, all right? There's one Harmony down there in West Virginia. All right, those are his people. All right, anyway. we always appreciate it. We will be back on a consistent. Ryan, how many freezes did we have during this?
I think you were good, actually. All
right, so we're going to get back to giving you this weekly, bringing you the sports show, bringing more guests. Look for an uptick in what we do. Ryan's got a promotion at his gig, so we're working through that, and that's not a negative. That's a positive. We only wish the best for our brother. So more promotions on promotions on promotions on promotions.
They're coming.
Definitely always make sure you check out Second City Sports and We Are Rigger Radio to get the content from Sydney. That's always great content. You know, he is the master of black hockey, which is all hockey, but we lead with the black hockey. But we always appreciate it. Definitely stay safe. Hopefully you enjoyed the weather here in the city of Chicago. And if you're fucking in Arizona, you enjoy the weather all the damn time.
Yeah, it's 73 today. It's sunny.
Damn, son of a bitch. But listen, we just always appreciate you taking to spend a little bit of time with us. Sydney?
We go.